ORF, 16th of March 2024, Crossing Currents, India-China Dispute and Bangladesh's Teesta Dilemma. China has been making overtures to Bangladesh as it develops its plan of using water as a form of blackmail in the Himalayas, forcing Bangladesh to submit to the Chinese. On January 28, 2024, the Chinese ambassador to Bangladesh, Yao Wen, met with the recently appointed Foreign Minister, Hasan Mahmud, less than a month after the 12th Bangladesh legislative election. To advance understanding and strengthen bilateral cooperation, he invited Sheikh Hasina, the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, to visit China during their meeting. Given the strong ties between the two nations, both the invitation and its acceptance were expected, but what stands out is Beijing's repeated expression of support for opposing external interference in Bangladesh. The first version was developed during the pre-election period when Chinese Premier Xi Jinping pledged that China would support Prime Minister Hasina in defying external demands while the US continued implementing sanctions to guarantee democratic polls. There has been a noticeable deterioration in US-Bangladesh relations over the past year, with Hasina accusing the US of violating human rights on its soil and the US voicing alarm over anomalies in the Dhaka poll. Under such circumstances, there is growing conjecture about China's potential tighter ties to Bangladesh to cover any American void and the effect this will have on Dhaka's relations with New Delhi. Beijing's increasing influence in India's neighborhood has caused India to become apprehensive about China's forceful development in South Asia in recent years. Bangladesh, the second biggest economy in South Asia, is highly sought after by China as a partner due to its strategic location overlooking vital shipping lanes and significant hydrocarbon reserves in the Bay of Bengal. Bangladesh is significant to India since it is its neighbor to the east and shares the fifth longest border globally. As a result, China and India are aggressively fostering relationships with Dhaka in various fields while also helping to increase its foreign exchange earnings, which the nation mainly depends on for growth and prosperity. China is Bangladesh's biggest trading partner, its second-largest supplier of foreign aid, and its third-largest foreign direct investment (FDI) source. Alternatively, India is Dhaka's second-largest trading partner, is in the top 10 FDI sources, and is the country's third-largest source of bilateral foreign assistance from non-aid group nations. Bangladesh has three categories of foreign aid: project aid, commodities aid, and food aid. The third category is the most well-liked among its developmental partners since it enables these nations to fortify diplomatic ties with Dhaka while simultaneously leveraging its substantial commercial, geopolitical, and resource potential by constructing the required infrastructure. Therefore, a significant portion of the aid given to Bangladesh by the two Asian superpowers is focused on developing infrastructure. Competition from China and India in Bangladesh. Some of these projects have also reflected the Sino-Indian competition that has emerged as one of the geopolitical characteristics of the Indian Ocean region in recent years. For instance, China committed to developing 27 projects in Bangladesh in 2016, Mongla being the country's second-largest seaport. But Beijing did not provide funds until December 2022, when it announced it would do so. This was a few days after India had chosen Aegis India Consulting Engineers to work on the port's development project. The Mongla Port Authority believes the two projects are distinct because New Delhi invests in creating jetties, roads, parking lots, offices, and a residential complex. Beijing's finances are establishing two container terminals and delivery yards. The swift announcements after one another allude to the global rivalry. Another time, Bangladesh cancelled Beijing's intentions to build a deep-sea port at Sanadia, allegedly because of India's unease with Beijing's expanding influence in the Bay of Bengal. Officially, Dhaka decided against building the port and instead concentrated on establishing the Mount Harberry port with Japan and the Paradip seaport with many nations, including India. This decision was based on a study that warned of the port's development's detrimental environmental effects. Beyond these particular examples, it has also been argued that although Beijing has constructed many bridges in Bangladesh's Delta region, it has shelved projects that would improve the nation's connectivity with India. However, geopolitical rivalry hasn't been mentioned to justify abandoning these initiatives. One could consider Chinese investments in constructing the Teesta River barrage as the most recent example of this competition. The issue of Teesta. The Teesta is one of the 54 transboundary rivers that Bangladesh and India share. It enters Bangladesh through the Rangpur division after flowing south through the hilly Indian provinces of Sikkim and northern West Bengal. The Teesta, which supports over 10 million people and accounts for 14% of the nation's total crop production, is Bangladesh's fourth-largest river and the principal waterway for its northern regions. As such, it is essential to the country's agricultural needs. However, experts from Bangladesh claim that India's dams on its side of the river restrict water flow upstream, affecting water outflow into the neighboring nation and making it more challenging to irrigate more than 100,000 hectares of land. They claim that Bangladesh needs 5,000 cubic feet per second, of water flow, sufficiently supplied by 6,710 cubic entering the nation before the dams were constructed. But it barely gets 1,200 to 1,500 cubic during the dry season, sometimes as little as 200 to 300 cubic. Naturally, this has continued to pressure India and Bangladesh's bilateral relations, which are otherwise very strong. Bangladesh was supposed to receive 36% of Teesta's waters. However, this ad hoc agreement, which was agreed at the 25th Joint River Commission (JRC) conference in 1983, was never completed. A second agreement was later reached in 2011 in which Bangladesh was to receive 37.5% of the water and India 42.5%. However, Mamata Banerjee, the Chief Minister of West Bengal, objected, citing the general decrease in the river's flow, and the agreement was never signed. Water flow has decreased due to the Teesta Barrage project in West Bengal's Gajoldoba, which diverts water via the Teesta Mahananda irrigation canal to meet Siliguri and Jalpaiguri's expanding urban water requirements. This water is also used to irrigate paddy fields and nearly 30 hydropower projects that are operational in Sikkim's Teesta region. As a result, the Teesta dispute has drawn attention from both sides of India's center-state divide, particularly given that the Indian constitution grants states jurisdiction over rivers. This has made it challenging for the Indian government to deal with the problem and find a solution acceptable to all parties concerned. As a result, despite numerous conversations between India and Bangladesh, little progress has been made. The problem was brought up again in March 2023 when India decided to construct 2 more canals to redirect Teesta water. According to reports, the building would go beyond India's pledge at the 37th JRC conference in 2010 to build no significant structures for water diversion upstream of the Gajoldoba barrage, except for minor irrigation projects, drinking water supplies, and industrial use. Thus, Dhaka was ready to send a letter of protest to New Delhi, but since late last year, political dynamics have taken center stage, drawing attention away from the matter. However, it should be mentioned that in 2022, Bangladesh and China started collaborating to construct a multi-purpose barrage and dredge and embank parts of the Teesta to create a single, controllable channel with a significantly higher water level. Bangladesh is a member of the Belt and Road Initiative, which makes Teesta significant to China. However, India's concerns that China would not only approach its border within 100 kilometers but also go close to its tiny Siliguri corridor, the nation's only land link with its politically sensitive northeast region, caused the project's progress standstill. China does, however, anticipate that work will soon restart. I am giving neighbors priority. Bangladesh has dealt with both countries with a diplomacy of balance in a geopolitical environment shaped by Sino-Indian competition. One such example of diplomacy is the stalled Teesta project, accentuated by Dhaka's most recent attempt to negotiate with India over this matter. Bangladesh's Foreign Affairs Minister visited Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar in New Delhi shortly after he met with the Chinese envoy. The Teesta water-sharing agreement was brought up, and Mahmud expressed hope that it would be settled quickly following India's impending legislative election. Teesta is a recurring annoyance that presents distinct difficulties for Bangladesh and India and impacts their respective national interests. Therefore, it is still seeking a resolution, not because of a lack of solid bilateral relations but rather because of the need to overcome domestic issues before reaching such an agreement. India and Bangladesh are neighbors and have a history of drawn-out disagreements that have been amicably resolved. Examples of these disputes include the Ganga Water Sharing Agreement, which was negotiated in 25 years, the Land Boundary Agreement, which took 44 years, and the Maritime Boundary Agreement, which took 43 years. However, China's role in the Teesta dispute and the potential for Beijing to become more prominent in Bangladesh following the election gives the problem a geopolitical aspect for India. Hence, prioritizing the Teesta issue would allay India's worries and maintain its goodwill with Bangladesh.